What do you feel is holding you back from improving? I feel that my mentality can be inconsistent. Elaborate, please.
So, um, I guess, I know that recently, since I'm playing inconsistently,
Yeah.
I usually, it is usually inconsistent because of that. But,
Mm.
it's also just, if there's a day where I'm just really stressed out, I can't play Overwatch at all, or else I'll just get tilted really easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I got that. I
Um,
purposefully don't play Overwatch before I coach. Because if I have like a really bad session, it kind of puts me in not a great mood, and then I don't coach as well as I should.
yeah.
So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if you were perfect, then it wouldn't bother you, right?
Hmm.
But you're not. So let's look at it two ways. One, we need to improve your mentality with Overwatch so it bothers you less. You and I both.
Yeah.
Two, what can we do to either calm ourselves down or find a way to work around that better, right? So for you, it's like look at it from like a medicinal standpoint. For you, it's like, what's a medication that I can take that makes my headaches feel better, but also what's causing the headaches in the first place?
Yeah.
Do you see that? So for you, when you're having a bad day, okay, what are some things that you can do to cope with that better and to kind of put you in a better mood that will allow you to be more free to do what you'd like without risk of compounding your frustration? What do you
That's
think?
something I've always had trouble with because I've always had very bad anger issues.
Yeah,
So I've always just bottled up all my feelings,
right.
and then on some random day, it all just comes out.
Ugh. But you see how like Overwatch is not the problem here.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's not. It's not. Now,
It's been like this
it is
for
a very
my whole life.
infuriating game. Long story short, Overwatch is a very frustrating game. Okay, compared to like
Yeah,
some of these
definitely.
games, it's way more relaxing to play some of these quote unquote more frustrating games. So for you,
Mhm.
it's like, how do we've kind of just hit an issue right there, right? Like we've probably hit a
Yeah,
nerve, and not something that you're not aware of. Obviously, you're aware of it, and maybe even, but like the sleep thing, you got to bring it up.
mhm.
That is an issue. How are you dealing? Like, you need to come up with some ways of dealing with that better. Um, and if Overwatch is the litmus test for when I can't play Overwatch because I'm too upset, that should probably be a red flag. You know what I'm saying? That you need to be doing something about your feelings at that point in time. And I'm just not a psychologist. I can tell you to go
Yeah,
take a walk, touch some grass, drink some tea, read a book, and those are all probably great things for you to do. But I don't know what's best for you. I'm not sure what the advanced elite strategies for coping with anger is, but I do know that if it becomes enough of a priority for you, that you'll find some different ways of figuring it out. Not solving it, not completely fixing the issue, but dealing with it and improving it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um, and I encourage you to do that, not just for your Overwatch sake, but just for you as a person. I
yeah,
like Overwatch
definitely.
for that because it's such a stressful, emotional, intense game. You can't play it seriously without learning something about yourself from it. It pulls
Yeah,
all the crap out. Like a really deep cleanse of your soul because it brings out the worst of you. It's like when people get drunk. You know what I'm saying? They tend to
mhm.
brings out the worst in them, but it can also be like little red flags about how that person is as a person.
Yeah,
But it's
definitely.
like it really brings out all the juice. And so you can learn a lot about yourself. But if you learn a lot about yourself and don't do anything about yourself, then the knowledge doesn't help you. It's what you do with the knowledge, right? So for you, it's like I would encourage you with the sleep, with the anger, finding ways of dealing with it. What makes you angry? What can you do with that? What can you deal with that? Do you need to be communicating with people more? Do you need to be finding ways to cope with it, or finding more stress relief elsewhere? I don't know. Overwatch is not a stress relief. I laughed the other day. I read something about like, oh, video games is a stress relief. It depends on the video game, doesn't it? Overwatch is not a
Yeah.
video game. It brings it to the surface. Um, okay, that's my little monologue here. Do you have any questions so far?
No, but
Okay,
I definitely
okay,
agree with everything.
okay. Anything else that you want to go over before we hop headfirst into gameplay?
I guess something I did forget to mention. It's a pretty glaring issue.
Okay.
Is that for the majority of my life, I've had low self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
That's why I've never like really tried to fix anything.
Yeah.
Video.
You have low self-esteem.
Yeah.
You can objectively, I don't care how you feel, use your brain. Tell me right now, is there anything wrong with you compared with the average person?
No.
No, you're just as relevant or interesting and intelligent as the average person. In fact, you probably, if you deep down think that you're probably a little bit smarter than the average person, and considering that you're talking with me, I would agree with that.
I mean,
Now,
I do have an ego, but at the same time, I have self-esteem issues.
you
It's
know,
really weird.
a lot of self-esteem issues, I think, come from us not living up to the standards that we hold for ourselves because we think so
Yeah.
highly of ourselves. And then when we don't measure up to that standard, we get angry at ourselves. In fact, a lot of the
Mm.
time, people with self-esteem issues sometimes have the biggest egos of people that I know, because you have such high expectations, and then again, like I said, when you don't live up to those expectations, you get angry. So the way to fix that, number one, is to understand that, okay, yes, you have a very high opinion of yourself, but it doesn't mean anything unless you actually accomplish anything out of it, which obviously you know. But
Right.
then also really honestly consider yourself, what are the low-hanging fruits that you want to live up to, right? So you have a very high opinion of yourself. What do you have a high opinion of? Your intelligence, your ability to work, your creativity. What is it that you have a high opinion of?
Probably my ability to adapt to things. Like
Sure.
pretty much a lot of things I do, I can pick it up pretty quickly.
Right. Right. So you're a quick learner, right? You're
Yeah.
intelligent, all right? What's holding you back from like leveraging that and utilizing that? And not just utilizing that for your own benefit, but also for other people's benefit as well.
Well,
What's distracting you?
also, it's just the main thing that's been distracting me for like I've only been an adult for 2 years now. I'm only
Yeah.
20,
Yep.
and for me, it feels like I've just been thrust out into this overwhelming place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've never known what I truly have wanted to do as like a career
Yep.
besides, the whole pro thing, but
Yeah.
I just got discouraged from that because of all the crap that goes on
Sure.
inside the industry. I just really
Sure.
don't
Sure.
like it.
Sure. And let me ask you another question. Are you also discouraged that you never felt like you were good enough? That you felt like you didn't get as good as you thought that you would be able to get?
Yeah, I felt like that before
Okay. Keep going.
with quite a bit of things. Even with Overwatch, I felt that way one time. It was I think it was before I hit GM on Winston. I just felt stuck basically, and I basically I kind of I don't know the word. My brain's not working.
That's okay.
Some
Thought you said you were smart. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Uh, see, I'm too smart. See, I'm thinking of so many
There's
things at
too many
once that my
words.
mouth just can't keep up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I got you. I got you.
So yeah. I would pretty much go back to the review that you had of me,
Yeah.
and I would just think about what I should be doing
Yeah.
instead of worrying about something as stupid as SR. I guess about the whole overthinking thing too. I've also had trouble with overthinking a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like I overthink quite a bit,
Welcome to the
and
club.
yeah, it most of the time, well, more often than not, it kind of screws me over. But then there's also situations where it doesn't, and it helps
Yeah.
me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always upsides and downsides. One thing I've learned about overthinking is it tends to stress me.
Yeah.
And I
Definitely.
also have a tendency to miss the forest for the trees, where the solution really isn't that deep, but then I want to sit there and think about it for a long time anyway. And sometimes I come up with details when the macro is really the
Yeah.
issue, right? I do that with everything, and it's something that I'm still working through, so I can relate with that. Let's talk. I want to go back because you said something really interesting to me, which was you were disillusioned a little bit with your ability to improve at a certain point, and then also with like the scene and it pro and not working out, and now like your career and you're not sure what to do. Can you elaborate on that? Because I think that's a really interesting conversation, and again, another thing that I can really relate with.
So I never actually got close enough to become pro, but
Mm-hmm.
through all the things I've heard with contenders in general,
Yeah.
it just and Blizzard as a company, it just felt like they weren't putting enough into like, for example, they were I guess they've been the type of company to make a game finished before it's released, then release it, and then they don't want to work on it again because they
Yeah,
think it's finished, you know. And
right.
that's pretty much how they're treating Overwatch League, and especially contenders. They were just kind of shoving it down a hole,
Yeah,
dark hole, and hell, even just players not getting paid in contenders.
yep.
Like a few years ago, I remember seeing that
Oh,
crap,
many
and just
times.
like, yeah,
Very
no,
delayed. Very delayed.
yeah,
Yes.
and even just the more recent stuff with the like how long the matches were gonna be, uh, where they like protested. I forget which two teams they were, but
Mhm.
they just did like Orisa 1v1s and the like Torbjorn 1v1s with like Hammer and stuff in the match because they the people who were supposed to tell them how long the match was going to be, like how many games, they told them the wrong amount,
Yeah.
and it was just, yeah.
So just not being the scene
Oh.
as a whole is just not being very run. And
It,
do
it
you
didn't
take
feel like it was professional enough.
no, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah,
And is that concern you because that's still something that you want to do, or is it just bother you, period?
bothers me, period. And
Sure.
I've also just I don't know, I guess while being pro would be like, from my past self, I thought it would be really cool to be able to play at that high level, but at the same time, that would be pretty much all I'm doing,
Right.
like, all the time, so I would
Right.
probably get burnt out, and I
Right.
would end up hating the game a lot
Right.
more.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of pros hate the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's not exactly the dream, especially because the scene is very underdeveloped, so people don't know how to
yeah,
structure their training. There's not a lot of good coaches, not a lot of good managers that understand, what we know. And so
yeah,
more time is better. And so, yeah, I agree with you. So
and when I was little, I fell for that whole,
oh
"It's the
yeah,
next big thing," especially because of the numbers where it was like, the Overwatch League in the first season streams more views than the freaking NFL,
yeah, yeah.
and I
It's
was,
huge.
yeah,
It was huge.
I got debated.
Yeah, I mean, so did all of us, but we learned something from it, right? And I think so. What's the plan for you now?
Um, I don't really. That's the problem is I don't really
Yeah.
have one. I'm just kind
Okay.
of
Does that bother
sailing
you?
through. Like I know that there's no real problem with that, but I also feel like for me, I'm the kind of person who, like, once I'm passionate about something, like I'm always pursuing it, or I'm always
Yeah.
trying to at least delve into it. And I feel like there's nothing of worth for me that I've found yet that I would really want to pursue.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean, I've always wanted to try out streaming, but even then, I don't know if that'll actually be something that I love. But I'm still gonna try it, of course, just to
It comes
see how I
back to
like
what we
it.
talked about earlier. Remember with the training schedule? We were talking
Yeah,
about how serious do you want to get to top 500? It always comes back to experimentation. And that's something that
yeah,
I learned honestly a little bit late. I was honestly blessed enough to have it kind of thrust upon me. So with my whole career of, I went into finance and then I didn't want to get my degree in, well, I did get my degree in finance, my bachelor's, and then
mhm,
decided, well, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And I went into the mixed martial arts instruction, and then I went into content creation, and then I went into coaching, and then I did Overwatch League coaching, then back into content creation. But I still don't know what I want to do long term. I don't know. I mean, I really
yeah,
enjoy my job now, probably the most fun I've ever had in a job, but I don't know how long this is going to last. You know what I'm saying? But I'm
yeah.
experimenting and I'm trying things. I'm doing travel flag football and I'm reading books, and that's what you need to keep doing.
It's
You
better
know?
to be doing multiple things at once rather than like just focusing on one thing.
Well, it's not even
Really?
necessarily that. If it's something that you enjoy, go at it. Go full at it.
Yeah,
But if it stops, if you don't know what to do, you're 20 years old, mate. You got your whole life ahead of you. Keep trying different things. Like you said, try the streaming thing. Because let me tell you something. If you stream for
yeah,
2 viewers for a year, but you have a fun time doing it, okay, right? Okay,
Yeah.
there you go, right? And ultimately, that's how you're going to be able to be successful at something, is because you actually enjoy it. You can fake it till you make it with a lot of things, but that's how you get burned out, you know? So you need to
Yes.
keep experimenting and finding, whether it's professionally, whether it's the jobs that you're doing or the hobbies that you're doing, to try different things. And so find where your strength lies. Like, maybe you're just not built to be a pro player, not built in terms of, but you just don't want to be.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
want to be an Overwatch League coach, not on the terms that they're being paid and played at right now. I had the chops to be one. I was successful as one, if I do say so myself. But I don't want to be one. I'm not willing to make the sacrifices that some of these guys are willing to do. And so that's that. I like what I'm doing right now. So I guess don't worry about it. And when it comes back to the self-esteem thing, when you accomplish things, you build confidence in yourself, right? And for you,
Right.
experimenting and finding what you enjoy is how you're going to build confidence. But don't worry about it. Like I'm telling you, when you're your age, it is so stressful. You have no idea what you want to do for work. You're barely making ends meet. You're trying to figure out like what the rest of your life's going to be like. Just keep experimenting and be patient. And if you are a good worker and an intelligent person and patient, you'll be okay.
I've always been pretty patient, so
Well, that's good. Because it will take some patience. I'm currently
Yeah.
going through that right now. Financially, it's still like really, really tight, you know? Especially with this tax season coming around here. And I'm like, surely everything's going to work out. Right. Surely it's going to work out okay. Maybe I'm looking at like the Amazon factory like 30 minutes away, and I'm like, no, not today, old friend. You know, it's like, I mean, I just, you know, but even if that were to happen, you know, what would I be doing in my free time? You know what I'm saying? I'd find something else to apply myself to and find another avenue or find another path. I'm sure, you know, it is what it is.